Hey, what's up, Black Knight Nation? This is Sal Interdonato. This is a post-game reaction to Army's 21-14 win over Air Force in overtime. The CIC trophy is going back to West Point, and we have quite the panel here today. We have Connor Crean, we have Jordan Horvath, and we have Steve Anderson to recap this game. This podcast is sponsored by Higher Echelon. Higher Echelon is a company run by former Army fullback Joe Ross. We thank Higher Echelon for sponsoring this podcast. And guys, man, what a game, and what a finish. And if you were to tell me that Booby Law would have the game-winning touchdown to bring home the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, I would have said impossible. But I guess that just give us your guys. We'll go around the board. Just give us all your reactions to this game and this win.
I would say excited, to say the least, is the first emotion that comes to mind. A little bit of relief. When we were up 14-3 and got that interception, thinking we might go up 21-3 and really put this thing away, had me feeling one sort of way. But then you remember in these games, it really does come down to the full 60 minutes, and in this case, 60 minutes plus, that even being up 14-3 with the opportunity to go up 21-3 still wasn't enough. So it was certainly had the ability to take a few years off my life, but happy with the win. happy to beat those guys. I just don't like them at all, even a little bit. So I'm happy to get that W. Hard fought.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with everything Con said. It really was a roller coaster of emotions. First half 0-0. It's like, all right, we're playing well. They're playing well. And then we opened it up, start of the third quarter. And I was like, oh, man, running the air raid out here. Like, what is this Army team? And then exactly like Con said, we were going to go up 21-3. Could we even go up, more than that? Like, what's going to happen? I was looking at, late in the third quarter, like, I'm trying to do math in my head. And then it kind of crashed back down, and I was like, oh, man, I remember when we lost to Fordham. We snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. Like, is that going to happen again? And thankfully, it didn't happen. We had the grit and the perseverance to get it done, and coaches called the right plays, and officials didn't call the – officials helped us out a little bit after calling against us the whole game. So, overall, just very happy we won.
Yeah, Sal, for me, love seeing us open up to Alston right off the bat in the first quarter. Getting him involved early was key. At least, that's what we talked about pregame. My Army plus 2.5 under 37.5 looks real good. I'll tell you that much right now. So if you didn't do that, you missed out on a great opportunity. So my brother-in-law sent me that at 7:00 this morning, and I was like, oh, I'm taking that. So, but yeah, roller coaster. I was watching the game for the first quarter, and I caught the fourth and the overtime. I had some Little League basketball games, but I'll tell you what, you kind of started off, Sal, by saying, you didn't, if we would have told you we would have had a lineman with the touchdown with the win, you would have never saw that coming. But in these types of games, everybody has a chance to step up at any point. It happens all the time, every year. And that guy just was fighting to the whistle, and he just happened to pop into his hands. It's just great seeing the refs make the right call on the field and not get distracted by another typical Air Force play where it's like, oh, I came away with the ball in the end zone. Nah, you didn't. 21-14, bro. Go to the sideline.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say is credit to Coach Woody and especially Coach Davis. Their game plans and their play calling was really very impressive, I thought. Certainly not conventional in terms of what we normally do, but they adjusted to what the game was calling for, and we made things happen. A lot of guys making a lot of good plays. Certainly Andre Carter with that tip ball and that redirection. Oh my God, like, you can't teach that really. That was just instinctual, and to have the length to make that, and really, I think, Sal, we were talking about before we started, like, Air Force had the momentum. That's kind of why I never really felt like Air Force got the momentum at any point, because even when seemingly they were going after that momentum, we were going to be there to make a play, which we did each and every time today.
Yeah, Jabari Moore, right? Last year he has that interception in the end zone in Army's win at Michie Stadium, and today, last play, Jabari Moore knocks the pass away. I mean, Steve, textbook, right? I mean, that's a textbook play right there.
So I was trying to show you my chills just thinking about it. I mean, I'm not even joking. I got chills on my neck. I had on my arms right now. The announcers kind of made the point where, like, hey, you got to, as a receiver there, you got to really sell the out to come back in on that slant if you're even going to have a chance. And man, I'll tell you what, just watching that replay and watching it live, the offhand placement, the bat down placement of the hand, the eyes locked in, his position. I mean, that's what you see at camps. That's how they teach you how to play the slant. Just over the top in case he catches it, you tackle him, and I think we all know he didn't care about the tackle there. He was going to bat that ball down, get a PI call. He didn't care, but man, great position. That whole series. Andre Carter with a huge play to start the series, and then he kind of slipped on the third down where they made that long third and 18-yard conversion where he almost had another one. But that guy is just, man, when we need a play or we need pressure, Andre Carter's there every time. And it's
gosh, and I thought he was going to make a play right in the beginning when he tipped that pitch. I thought, and they ultimately covered it, but he was right in the backfield right there. So he was poised to make some plays all day. We're lucky that he's on our side.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, I guess the stars of this game are the offensive line, right? And the defense, because the first touchdown, Tyler's touchdown, give Mason Kolencheck an assist on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was pushing them
You
right
literally
into the
just
end zone.
carried him across 10 yards across the goal line. It was great.
Pretty steady play from the defense. The offense. Guys, man, I don't know why this is such a great win for Army, but I have to say that I thought Isaiah Austin could have had a bigger day today. I thought that they could have thrown the ball basically almost any time they wanted to him. And I thought maybe it got a little conservative. When the Carter, the pick to Cam Jones, I thought they got a little conservative there. They could have drove the nail in there, and they went on the ground a little bit where it was tough sledding a little bit at this game. But good game throwing the ball today from Army, right?
So I got to step in. I'm looking at the numbers right now. In our offense, Isaiah had 4 receptions, some pretty big ones too, for 79 yards, averaging 19.8. I'd say that's a pretty big day.
For an Army receiver, that's unheard of.
I would give him a lot of credit. And then obviously Tyrell Robinson with 2 receptions for 118 yards.
Yeah.
They made the plays when they needed to make the play. Obviously, you want them to catch every single ball thrown their way, but sometimes you got to give a little credit to the defense for making a play because, they're trying as well. But I thought Isaiah played well. And again, I liked our play calling. At no point today did I really think gosh, I don't understand why we're calling certain plays. Okay. It really, I personally, I thought, and Jordan, Steve, you step in, let me know. I thought we called the game based on what Air Force was giving us and, ultimately executed enough to win.
Yeah, no, I think to Sal's point, he's saying 4 receptions for 79 yards, that's 5 for 20 or 5 for 100 if we try to force it a little more to him. But I agree with you. There was no really forcing offensive play calls today. We weren't shoving the dive down their throat. We weren't like calling pitch plays, called pitch plays. I agree, Sal. I think Isaiah could have had more catches, but at the same time, there's a certain, there's so much emotion in this game, and there's so much more around that. What we feel comfortable doing is just playing our offense to what we're used to doing. And I feel like at least the majority of the game I saw, and you mentioned it before, the offensive line, those guys were working every play, 10 yards downfield. Didn't matter. Those guys were engaged, almost to the point, we almost got in trouble. Our defensive lineman almost got a flag at the end there. But that was we got lucky. And, I felt like, we might have taken another shot there at the end of regulation. I felt like Isaiah could have, fought for that ball a little harder. It looked like he was a little off balance when he hopped up. And
it looked like the ball was a little inside too.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying, Steve. It looked a little inside.
But man, I think 2-1 got paid today on that. Just Robinson alone on that breakaway speed. God, those guys. Sal, we were talking at pregame. There ain't nobody catching him. He wasn't
Yeah.
caught once he got in the open field. So it was that was a great play to catch up on and see us take it to the house there.
Somebody was saying on Twitter that, hey, we needed the Wake Forest game to show us that we had some offensive weapons. You did not. At the beginning of the season, you had Isaiah Austin, you had Terrell Robinson. These guys are different. These guys are different guys this year. And it's just a matter of getting them involved in the offense. Simple. It took them a while to get Isaiah involved. Now he has a catch in 4 straight games. He's a weapon. And you can't, I don't know, corner that Wake Forest didn't have anybody to really match him. That's a number 9 team in the country, so maybe should have taken advantage of it a little bit. Let's stop. I was being like, this trying to play armchair offensive coordinator, guys. Let's talk about a little bit more of this game. And I guess I just saw 108 yards rushing for Army. So not really the recipe for success normally in victories, but you win you take the Commander-in-Chief's trophy home for the 4th time in 5 years. I mean, man, and you see after the game, and you see Pete Dawkins in the middle of the alma mater, and you find out a lot. And Steve and Connor, you can talk about this, and Jordan, you can talk about this too, being a grad. That means a hell of a lot when you can bring that trophy back to West Point.
Yeah, and I mean, none of us had that opportunity, to my knowledge. So it's awesome to see it coming back. I noticed there was another trophy. I guess there's the Commander's Classic Trophy now, which
it's like they do
I guess whatever.
The Secretary's Cup or whatever at Army Navy. It's the same thing, I think.
Yeah, so at least the Secretary's Cup's been around for a long time.
Well, sure.
But this little Commander's Cup, and I'd like to hear what you guys think. I think it's a huge advantage for Air Force when they play at home, because I do think the altitude helps them. So the fact that they've agreed to a neutral site this year and then again next year, it's kind of surprising. Personally, I didn't love it. I mean, that didn't look like it was a great venue for a football game, despite what CBS kept trying to tell us and how great it was. I didn't think it looked that great. It looked like our sideline. I think it was our sideline. The stands behind our sideline were seemingly 30 yards away. I don't think baseball stadiums lend themselves. But if this is going to bring revenue to the school and to our athletic program, then I'm all for that, I guess.
Yeah, I think from a business standpoint, it makes sense. To your point, it's always weird when there's a baseball, a rectangle in a diamond kind of thing. However, it's easier to get to Dallas than it is to get to West Point or Colorado Springs. And then I know a ton of classes had reunions and stuff this weekend. And so, from an alumni standpoint, I think that's advantageous, as well as just, from a revenue standpoint. So I don't know where we're going to do it after 2 years, but I do like the fact that, we take away this year a home game from Air Force, we take it away, and then we also take away that altitude advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry about it. Yeah, I'll tell you, altitude's real. I'm out here in Colorado Springs now. Just moved out here. I'm at Fort Carson now, and my 2 mile time's about 90 seconds slower, so it's no joke. Yeah. But just like you said there, Sal, Pete Dawkins, okay, 1958 grad, all right, in the middle at the alma mater, Army Air Force for the CIC. It fucking matters, man. It'll matter to the end of the time of old grads that always come. They showed a little bit. They showed some people in Kuwait watching the game. They showed Air Force and Army guys watching the game in Kuwait. And I'll tell you, the venue is what the venue is, right? Money's gonna make that decision every single time, and that's fine. But you're gonna have guys all across the world chiming in, reaching out, trying to find Army bars, Army get-togethers to watch these games, and it just means something different, especially when in November we can take home the CIC. So, love seeing. I got a chance to escort Pete Dawkins around the 101st. He was War Eagle 6 back in the day, which is now Rakkasan Brigade, which is the brigade I'm in. Was in, and he was our guest speaker. Just phenomenal man, and means a whole lot to this program. And it just means it. It's important, and just love seeing us take it back. And it feels good. My heart's still up a little bit. I'm still a little jacked up, but hopefully I can kind of get after some do lists this afternoon to bring my heart rate back down.
I was saying, I pulled the muscle on my neck, like jumping around and screaming in my living room, and it's just me, my sister, and my fiance. I can't, a game like this, if I'm not there, I can't be around a lot of people. It just doesn't bode well for me. I gotta be kind of mostly by myself, and that's to Steve's point that I have, no matter how much I scream at my TV, I have no effect on the game one way or another. But that doesn't prevent me from having that emotion, and that doesn't prevent me from still feeling visceral reactions to how the game played out. So I completely agree with what Steve said there. And, not just Pete Dawkins. I'm sure there were plenty of other gentlemen, former players on the sidelines that we just didn't see. And I saw some folks on social media that are very prominent Army football players tweeting about it and getting involved in the game. It's just different. And that, I don't want to speak for Steve and Jordan, but that disdain that we have for Air Force seemingly does not relent. I just cannot stand them, being around Navy guys. And I work with some Navy guys begrudgingly, but they're all right. I can stomach them. I just cannot stomach these Air Force players. Sorry.
They are so entitled and self-righteous, and they just think they're better than everybody. And as much as I try to bury the hatchet and get past it and maybe we'll be friends, there's just something about them that just gets under your skin and you just can't be around them. I don't know what it is.
Right. There's no mistake. They're great Americans, right? They're doing something that not a lot of people would do, but man, when you're talking the inner circles of the academy personalities, just whatever it is, I don't know. I can't really, I know Jordan alluded to it, and maybe that's it, but there is just something about them that I just cannot stand. So
I coached third grade football.
Whatever you want to call them, they're just, it's always good to get a dub against Air Force.
I coached third grade football with a guy who played football linebacker at Air Force. And the only reason I can stand being around him is because he cross-commissioned in the Marine Corps. And he was a Marine Corps infantryman. So he's not like the stereotypical Zoomy. So I guess that makes it okay. But those guys Colorado Springs, Aviators, no.
I cross more Air Force grads. And it's kind of like the Army, right? I'm not the same person I was as a cadet. So a lot of those guys mature. But yeah, I found out the other day I was coaching Little League football. Their season ended, but I was coaching with the punter for Air Force that happened to play the same years as I played, right? And we got along okay, but I was still like, I don't know if I can trust this guy to be 100% honest.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, Stephen, your time, Victor Eugeni, I was asking him, I did a bunch of questions with him about the rivalry, and he was saying about what the summers are like for Air Force cadets compared to what the summers are like for West Point guys. And he was just saying they're sitting behind a desk. They're marching they're marching somewhere on post or something, and we're out here, doing our military training. And that was right away that I knew that was early in my career covering the team, and I knew right away this is not Army Navy. This is something different, and I guess they want to try to, with the having it at a neutral site, they want to kind of brand it that way. But nah, like you said, guys, great to come away with a win. Some of the other takes, I guess, Army pretty much, like you said, stayed to his philosophy on offense. They went for it on fourth down one time, didn't get it. That was a little bit of a momentum change there, but it's just the mentality in these games that Monken has, right? That he's got to take away some clock and, try to keep the ball away from Air Force's offense the most he could. It worked out in the end. I don't know. I just think that the offense played well enough to win and defense played great, right? The defense played great, so.
I really just think it's a culture.
Just like in any, Air Force, Army, any game, right? Possessions are key. So anytime you find yourself in that position to where you can not necessarily steal an extra possession, but you get it on fourth down, you're essentially stealing a possession from the other team because there's going to be about, at least 3 to 4 minutes of yours just running another 3 to 4 plays. I think for the most part, I'll tell you another great, just to bring up your point, Con, is I'll tell you what was cool is watching Coach Kawika or Ben Kawika marching the sideline next to Coach Monken. That was a really cool moment for me, at least just watching, one of my biggest mentors make his presence known on the sideline. I have can't say enough about that guy. So, but yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
and I mean, when you're talking about Ben, I mean that's a guy who was around, and a captain of some really good Army teams and understands what it takes to win, what it takes to beat Air Force. So just having someone like that around these players, granted, when he was playing, these kids weren't even alive, but it doesn't matter because you can feel that energy that just is oozing from his body. And you can take something from that. Having people like that, having people like Mike Vitti, who I watched put an Air Force player into the ground on a block on a touchdown when we beat them in 2005. Having those guys around, it is a difference maker for our current players.
Yeah, so Ben Kotwika, I believe, still is undefeated against Air Force. I'm pretty sure that they didn't lose when he was a player. Steve, did you beat him prep school year or no?
We didn't play Air Force prep.
Okay. I don't think he's
prep.
I don't think he's lost to Air Force. I could be wrong. I haven't fact checked that, but something in my head, I remember that I thought he went undefeated against them. Maybe I'm thinking Navy. I'm probably thinking Navy because I don't think Army hasn't had the success that they've had in recent years over Air Force, right, Connor? I mean, it's been
no.
So I'm wrong there. It's Navy that he hasn't lost to, but I mean, this is yeah, I'm wrong there. My bad. But I mean, yeah, I mean, just like you said, having a guy like him on the sidelines and a great mentor, and now, wow, now I guess like we talked about, the Commander-in-Chief's trophy comes back to West Point, but the mission's not really done yet, right? You still got Navy at the end of the year. You definitely don't want to loot that. That's the biggest game of the year. We can say that this was the biggest game of the year. Yeah, but I mean, that's the biggest game of the year. You want to defeat Navy and capture the title, not retain it, right?
Exactly. I'm very excited, obviously, and happy that we won today, but we don't want to just settle for, we get to house this trophy. We want to win that trophy. So it is very much, the mission is only half complete right now.
Yeah, it really comes down to, what happens on December 11th. We're back at Michie Stadium for the next two games. Hopefully we get an easy win against Bucknell and then UMass, 7-3 going into Liberty. Toss up, obviously, going to pick Army. So 8-3 going into, against Navy. But if we lose to Navy, it doesn't matter. We could basically lose every game on the schedule, if we lose to Navy. So really want to make sure that we're focusing on that. And like Connor said, getting to house it for another year is great. But when they get to go and they get to etch, 2021 on the side of that trophy on the Army side next to the mule, that's what's really cool.
Yeah, it's also it's going to be great. These guys now have that feeling that they can pull, that experience they can pull from, against Navy, having played in a neutral site against Air Force, big game, that kind of thing. And just to echo what these guys says, Sal, we talked about it in the pregame. I truly believe this is where we turn the corner. We run the table. We had our little skid of 3 games, but looking at our schedule, looking at our mentality coming out of this game, I don't think we're all going to look back at all. I think we've now tasted what it feels like to be a champion, right? You can say, we haven't won it yet, but right now, we're the defending champion right now in the CIC. So someone's going to have to beat us to take that away. And we've got that taste in our mouth. We've got that look in our eyes, and I think we're running this table. And I think, come Navy, neutral site, game time, I think we're in good shape, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually to take what we need to do during that game.
Yeah.
We talked about earlier this week how Coach Monken moved the Commander-in-Chief's trophy from Kimsey Center to the locker room to just kind of remind the players. I don't know if it was a reminder, but just so the players can see it every day before practice. And now to have that go back, I'm sure maybe it goes into the locker room for early next week, and maybe they can bring it back where recruits. Guys, I just wanted to mention this too. This is a big game for recruits too, right? Recruiting wise, because Army, Air Force, and Navy are going after a lot of the same guys. I know Texas is a big recruiting state for all 3 schools, and you got to have. I bet you there were recruits in the stands, no doubt, that were watching this game. And when you see Army continuing its winning ways in the Service Academy rivalry, that's got to be good for recruiting. it's a game that they have in Texas, right? They usually play a game in Texas every year. So I guess, we'll take they take the neutral site game in Texas over anywhere else, maybe just has to help recruiting. And it's a win-win. It's a win-win all around after this game, right? It's a lot of celebration, a lot, give a lot of credit to where it's due, like we did. Any other parts of the game or any kind of players you guys would like to mention?
I just want to give a shout out to Brent Davis again. I know Khan's kind of hit on that. Typically what we see in especially these Service Academy rivalry games is very conservative play calling. And throughout the season, really until the second half of Wisconsin / Wake Forest, we've seen very conservative play calling on offense. And sometimes that has been great and that's worked well. But a lot of times we've kind of looked back at the games and we could have done more. Wisconsin, second half really kind of played lights out and then took the emergency break off and just kind of put pedal to the metal against Wake Forest. And we saw what this offense can really do, almost 600 yards of offense. So it was good, this week to see we opened up conservatively, played conservatively the first half, and then started the second half. We just started throwing the football and we got yardage, we got points. And then I thought he called a fantastic game and played aggressively when he needed to, and then didn't put us in dangerous positions later on in the game. Throwing unnecessarily or stuff like that. And when it we get a 3-and-out, like it stinks. But at the same time, I would rather get a 3-and-out running than throw an interception or get a pick six because we're trying to be aggressive and give the ball away and give the game up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to think when the last time that we had more passing yards than rushing yards and won the game. But again, that's what the game called for. And we're all close enough to the program that we know that we have players who can make these plays, and we know we can throw the ball effectively. I kind of not scoff, but everyone just kind of watches these games if you're not too familiar with either school, and you see us throwing the ball, and we're like, "Whoa, gee golly, Army can throw the ball." And it's like, well, yeah. And
where have you been?
Right. And I think all the kids on the team wearing the uniforms, they're not surprised by this. They're not surprised in the least because they know what they're capable of, and I think. It's important. It goes a long way for their confidence. Obviously, against Wake Forest, to score all those points. But today, again, where they weren't giving us much with the run, and we threw the ball a lot, and we threw the ball well. We were successful with that. And I think that does bode well for the rest of the season, talking about what Steve's saying in terms of running that table. This puts us in a really good position, one game at a time. But this is a huge confidence booster, not just because it's Air Force and you get the CIC win, but the fashion in which we did it, I think gives these kids a huge boost. Coming back to Mikey next week, don't be surprised if we hang 80 on Bucknell next week.
Bold. Yeah, everybody looks at, to kind of go back to the point Khan made and Jordan, everybody kind of looks at football as like, if you throw the ball 20 times and you run the ball 20 times, you're a balanced offense, right? And in the triple option offense, right, we kind of have our balance is a little different because it's about fullback give, it's about quarterback takes, it's about pitching it to the outside, it's about hitting the slot, hitting the wide receiver, right? So we kind of have a different set of balance that we have to kind of look at. So even though we've run the ball, 40 times a game and we only throw the ball 10 times, right? Those 40 runs are different than just up the gut every time. So we play our best offense when we are balanced, when we give the dive, we do the belly G, we do the QB follow, we do the QB take, right? We get the pitch to the outside, we hit the slot for a couple times, we throw a couple slants, hit the fade back shoulder route, right? That's the balance that we like to see. And today we were well balanced. We made the right play calls in the right situations to make our guys successful. Just like Khan said, we all know we've got the players to make those plays. No surprise to us when we come down with a reception or the slot back takes it to the house or the fullback gets it on 4th and 1 and does a scorpion and almost breaks his back, right? That's a big boy going over the top like that, man. I was a little concerned at a moment, but I'll tell you what, we need one. We need 1 yard. I know we're giving the ball to every single time.
Absolutely.
It's great. Guys, I have to cut out of here. It was awesome. Love seeing the end, the victory. Sal, you know what I'm going to sign off with. Beat Navy. Let's go. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Steve. Last thing I'll say, it comes as no surprise to me. It might come as a surprise to others. It comes as no surprise to me that Isaiah Alston is a baller, being that he's a Jersey kid. So
There-
just putting that out there.
Hey, Connor, true that. I'm Jersey pride here too. Hey,
That's
just real quick before we go off, I just want to just give Andre Carter even more props from that play. Right, that's a trick play for Air Force, right? And to almost be sold on it, to recover on that play, and to make that tip. I tweeted it. There might not be a linebacker in the country that can make that play. I don't know.
Not many. You can't teach that length and that instinct. And I was texting. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he wants me to put it out there. I was texting somebody who spent some time in the NFL, and he said that's the kid who'll be in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that was an impressive play. Many impressive plays by the defense, and the offense gets it done here, guys. Really appreciate you coming on, Jordan and Connor. Thanks so much for joining us. Army wins 21-14 over Air Force. The Commander-in-Chief's trophy is coming back to West Point for the 4th time in 5 years. Guys, you want to give where we can find you before we sign off?
Yeah, I'm at Captain Cons. If you care to listen, I'm at Zero Blog 30 over there at Barstool Sports Military Podcast. But at Captain Cons, anywhere you can find me.
Yeah, and I'm at As for Football, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, running the As for Football podcast. We do Army football analysis and then also do a roundtable show for just all college football. So, Sal, thanks for having us on. Appreciate the partnership. And Cons, always good to see you. And I think you're coming on our show in a couple weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. I think so. So I'll see you then, Jordan. And Sal, thanks for shooting me a note and getting me on to talk about the win. Very excited. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Great time, guys. Thanks for the listen.
See you.
Thanks, Sal.